There was a season in my life when waiting felt like punishment, not because I didn't believe in God, but because I believed so deeply, and yet nothing was moving. I prayed, I fasted, I showed up, I stayed faithful. I watched others receive what I had been asking God for, sometimes without half the effort. And slowly, quietly, a question began to grow in my heart. God, why me? Why am I the one waiting while others are celebrating? Why am I the one holding on while doors keep closing? Why does it feel like heaven is silent when I need answers the most? Waiting has a way of testing not just your patience, but your faith, your confidence, and your sense of worth. It makes you question yourself. It makes you question timing. Sometimes, it even makes you question God. And yet, this is where most people misunderstand God. Because when God makes you wait, it is never because He has forgotten you. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed one night, exhausted from hoping. My prayers had become shorter, less confident. I wasn't angry anymore, just tired. Tired of believing. Tired of expecting. Tired of being strong. That was the night something shifted. Not because my situation changed, but because my understanding did. You see, waiting is not God's way of delaying your life. Waiting is God's way of developing you. We live in a world that celebrates speed, fast success, instant answers, overnight breakthroughs. But God does not work on our timeline. He works on purpose. And purpose takes preparation. There are things God cannot release into your life until you are ready to carry them. Sometimes you're praying for the blessing, but God is focused on the foundation. Sometimes you want the promise, but God is shaping the person who can sustain it. And here's the truth most people don't like to hear. If God gave you what you're asking for too early, it could destroy you. Not because the blessing is bad, but because unprepared hands can't hold heavy blessings. I once met an elderly man while traveling. He had lived a long life, filled with loss, joy, failure, and faith. We spoke briefly, but one thing he said stayed with me forever. He looked at me and said, "God's silence is not His absence. It's His workshop." That hit me, because while I thought God was silent, He was actually working. While I thought nothing was happening, everything was happening beneath the surface. Waiting is where God teaches you things success never could. In the waiting, you learn humility. In the waiting, you learn dependence. In the waiting, you learn how to trust God even when there is no evidence that things will work out. And that kind of faith, faith without proof, is powerful. Some of the strongest people you admire didn't become strong during their breakthrough. They became strong during their waiting. Joseph waited in prison before the palace. David waited in obscurity before the crown. Abraham waited decades before the promise was fulfilled. Waiting has always been part of God's process. But here's where it gets personal. Sometimes God makes you wait because what you're asking for isn't the real issue. Sometimes the waiting is about healing what you don't talk about, the insecurity you hide, the fear you carry, the wounds you've buried. God loves you too much to bless a broken version of you that will sabotage the very thing you prayed for. So He waits, and He works. Waiting is where God removes the wrong attachments. Waiting is where He separates you from what looks good but isn't God. Waiting is where He teaches you that your identity is not tied to outcomes. And yes, waiting hurts. It hurts to see others move ahead. It hurts to feel stuck. It hurts to explain your faith when nothing is changing. But pain in waiting is not wasted pain. Every delay has intention. Every closed door has direction. Every silent season has meaning. What if the waiting isn't about when, but about who you're becoming? What if God is building resilience in you so that when the breakthrough comes, it won't break you? Because here's the truth. Blessings come with responsibility. Success comes with pressure. Answered prayers come with new battles. And God prepares His people before He positions them. If God is making you wait, it's because there's more at stake than you realize. More impact, more growth, more purpose. You're not being ignored, you're being refined. One day, you will look back on this season and realize the waiting saved you. It protected you from rushing into the wrong timing. It taught you to hear God's voice more clearly. It strengthened your faith in ways comfort never could. And when that moment comes, when the door finally opens, you will walk through it with wisdom, maturity, and gratitude. So if you're waiting right now, don't lose heart. God is not late. God is not cruel. God is not confused. He is intentional. And the same God who told you to wait is the same God who will fulfill his promise at the right time, in the right way, for the right reason. Hold on. Your waiting season is not the end of your story. It's the chapter that makes the ending meaningful. If you are still here, listening to these words, let this sink deep into your heart. Your waiting is not meaningless. Your tears have not been ignored. Your prayers have not fallen to the ground. Every season God allows has a purpose, even the ones that confuse you, even the ones that hurt. The waiting you're in right now is not a sign that God has turned away. It's a sign that he is working carefully, intentionally, and lovingly behind the scenes. Sometimes God waits because he's protecting you from something you can't yet see. Sometimes he waits because he's preparing you for a weight you've never carried before. And sometimes he waits because the blessing you're asking for will require a stronger, wiser, more grounded version of you. Do not rush what God is refining. Do not abandon faith just because the answer hasn't come yet. Do not mistake silence for absence. In the waiting, God is shaping your character. In the waiting, he is teaching you endurance. In the waiting, he is building a faith that will not collapse when storms come. One day, you will understand why it took this long. One day, you will thank God for the delays. One day, you will realize that the waiting didn't weaken you. It strengthened you. So breathe. Trust again. Hold on a little longer. Because when God finally moves, it will be worth every moment you waited. Your season is coming. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. And the same God who told you to wait will be faithful to fulfill his promise. If this message spoke to your heart, if it gave you strength, clarity, or peace in your waiting season, I invite you to become part of the Blessed Mindset. This channel is for those who are learning to trust God when life doesn't make sense, for those who are waiting, healing, growing, and believing again. Subscribe to the Blessed Mindset for powerful motivational stories, faith-filled encouragement, and reminders that God is still working, even in silence. Like this video, so it can reach someone else who needs hope today. Share this message with someone who is waiting on God and needs reassurance. And comment below. Tell us what you are trusting God for in this season. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. And your waiting has meaning. Stay blessed, stay faithful, and keep your mindset blessed.